Hello again, and welcome back to Cat's Couch. Sorry. I'm your returning host, Zachary Beeler, and we have a great show for you today. We have 3 shows left, and this will be the last time I will be hosting this show. But no tears or anything like that. Let's go over the news like we always do. In Asheville, North Carolina, first graders wrote in large part a full-page bill that Representative Susan Fisher has sponsored. What bill exactly? Well, North Carolina has many state animals and objects, state birds, state beverages, state flowers. But the student of Patty Evans' class of Dickinson Elementary School decided that North Carolina should have a state spider, and they actually succeeded. As of April 25th, the golden silk spider is the state spider of North Carolina. The students took research facts about a dozen of the most common spiders in the state, and after voting twice, voted on this non-poisonous spider who only eats insects. Representatives had some fun before the lighthearted bill was passed, some asking if they'd get a citation if they accidentally stepped on one. On May 6th in Raleigh, many walked on the grounds of Dorothea Dix Hospital for the National Alliance of Mental Illness Walk. Though clouds were covering the sky that day, that did not stop people from celebrating the walk's 13th anniversary to come together to help treat mental illness. Not only that, but on that same day in downtown Raleigh, people celebrated the 7th annual LGBT Out Raleigh Festival, having an effort to promote diversity through the Triangle area. And even more happening in Raleigh, a 70-year-old great-great-grandmother was among 900 people to graduate at Wake Technical Community College. Shirley Fuller saw that her grandchildren were getting their own degrees, so she decided to get her own. With an associate in applied science degree in business administration, she says that she isn't stopping there and is actually already enrolled in a criminal justice program at the college, where she will go get a bachelor's degree and then enroll in law school. Fuller has a big and loving family with 9 grandchildren, 10 great-grandchildren, and 2 great-great-grandchildren. Fuller herself has big aspirations and hopes to someday see all of her great-grandchildren get their own degrees. In Wake County, North Carolina, librarian Julie Stivers at Mount Vernon Middle School won the Francis Henn Award. This award is awarded to those who show great leadership, and with Stivers increasing circulation of books in her library by 150% and inspiring students to read who previously hated reading, no one will deny that she deserves it. As Stivers puts it, she doesn't believe in readers and non-readers, but rather readers and not yet readers. In Lillington, North Carolina, many residents were shocked and puzzled to see Christmas lights all over their town. Glenn McFadden, mayor of Lillington, heard many voice their confusion to this Christmas in May. He explained the situation to the public, mentioning that last year Duke Energy had upgraded their street lights, but they looked a little dim. So the town is trying a multitude of different lights, letting the local residents vote for their favorite. Once their favorite is picked, the town will then buy those specific lights for the Christmas season. I guess it's never too early to go Christmas shopping. And lastly, some exciting news is happening in Beech Mountain, North Carolina, as the Land of Oz theme park has announced a 2017 summer attraction known as Journey with Dorothy. Guests can go over the rainbow on a chairlift ride, and they are chosen to play as Dorothy's companions, Scarecrow, Tin Man, and the Cowardly Lion, and even the Wicked Witch of the West. The experience is happening every Friday, starting June 2nd all the way to the 30th. Tickets are $25 a person, and the park is a vintage property with a lot of uneven paths, so wheelchair accessibility and they're not wheelchair accessible and they are not stroller friendly. We have a great show for you today. We have George Pappas, owner of Victory Lanes, who will be discussing his business as well as how bowling has impacted his life, and Grace Dirig, who won Miss Statesville this year, talking about her experience with both pageants and college. We'll see you after these commercial breaks.
I wish we had a PS3. This is whack. Whoa! What is...
It's the Doritos!
Dude!
Yeah, do it again!
What should I wish for? New stereo system. I wish for a new stereo system. I wish the girl from 301 was here.
Doritos!
Yes! So you got any friends?
Welcome back to Cat's Couch. We have our guest George Pappas with us. George, how are you doing today?
Doing fine, Zach.
So you're actually the owner of Victory Lanes. How did you come about to become an owner?
Oh, well, when I was a youngster, I started bowling when I was like 6 years old, and I really loved bowl. I mean, loved it. That was the cat's meow for me. And, you know, worked hard all my life. I bowled professionally for over 20 years, and then ended up, excuse me, buying a bowling center in Charlotte. And several years later, I bought one in Gastonia, North Carolina, and then the last one, Victory Lanes, actually built that one from the ground up.
Really?
Yes.
That's really cool. So you own multiple bowling alleys, not just Victory Lanes.
That's right. I own two now. I own Gastonia, which is Liberty Lanes, and Victory Lanes. I sold Park Lanes in Charlotte 5-6 years ago.
So, so was the Charlotte one your first opening?
That was the first.
So, how was that experience compared to Victory Lanes? Was it harder? Was it easier than trying to build Victory Lanes from the ground up? Or?
Two different concepts, because Park Lanes, when I bought that back in, well, 1981, 82, I think, it was a rundown bowling center, wasn't modernized, customer service wasn't very good. So I bought the bowling center, we did some modernization, got some staff in there that enjoyed doing what they were doing, took care of our customers. We built up the business, had a really good business when we sold it. Victory Lanes, on the other hand, new bowling center, a new concept. Park Lanes was 32 lanes and a snack bar and a small restaurant and video games. Victory Lanes is 40 lanes, a billiard lounge, a bar and restaurant, a lot of video games, and we had, I think, 23 or 20 employees at Park, and at Victory we have 48 or 49. So it's a much more comprehensive detail, a lot more detail. It's a lot more going on at the bigger center.
So you said you started off bowling and then you owned a business. How was that sort of transition? Was it difficult? Did it seem like it was easier because you were already familiar with bowling, or was it an entirely different aspect?
Totally different aspect. Bowling, you know, you practiced and you worked on your game. You would study, I would study, and just spent all of my time trying to become a better bowler, because you know, if I didn't bowl well enough to get a check in the, you know, on the tour, then obviously I would come home.
Right.
And so when you have a bowling center, once I bought Park, I didn't practice nearly as much either, because you're spending time running the bowling center. You know, you got, I actually had went on the tour, bowled 3 tournaments when I was 18, right out of college, right out of high school, and did not bowl well. And my parents said, either go to college, and then if you want to bowl, you bowl, but they said, you're not going to stay out, you know, when, you know, you don't know what, if you don't make it on tour, what are you going to do if you don't have a college education?
Right.
So my family, we didn't have a lot of money. There wasn't any money to send me to school, so I ended up going to Central Piedmont Community College in Charlotte. I went there for 2 years. I got a a degree in business administration. And then I went back out on tour, and it was a different situation then. I bowled well and bowled for a lot of years. But the bowling center requires different knowledge than competing professionally. And my college helped me, but college doesn't teach you how to run a business.
Right.
You know, you have to make a lot of decisions that college doesn't tell you about, and you just have to weigh the pros and cons out. And it's a totally different aspect. But both the professional bowling for me and owning a bowling center, they're very satisfying and rewarding, and I love both of them.
Well, awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
After these commercial breaks, we'll have George Pappas talk about how bowling has impacted his life. Thank you.
Dude, that girl that sat next to us at the movies yesterday was so hot.
Oh, I know.
You went to the movies without me? Did you go see the Avengers? You did?
Here, Joey, chill, eat this.
Why?
You get all whiny when you're hungry.
Better?
Better.
You're not you when you're hungry. Snickers satisfies.
Welcome back to Cat's Couch. I'm still here with Mr. Pappas, and you talked about you were a bowler, and so I kind of wanted to go more into that. How did bowling sort of impact your life? Because I think you started at a young age. Is that right?
Yeah, I started at age 6, and that was 64 years ago. But I love to bowl, and bowling, you know, I'd have to say bowling is my life, because I bowled professionally, and then I went into the bowling center business, and still do that. And so you could say bowling is my life, and it's been a very rewarding. The experiences that I've gone through, that I've experienced, have been very rewarding. And not everything is an up. There's a lot of ups and downs in life and in business. And I've had a lot of disappointments and some failures, but the highs and the successes have certainly outweighed the lows.
So what kind of successes do you have in mind that you think like really made you be like, this has been all worth it? Like winning a certain tournament or anything like that?
Wow. It's the fact that you love to do something more than anything else, and you can earn a living at it, and then I ended up buying bowling centers and provide a lot of people enjoyment, bowling in leagues, bowling and having office parties, birthday parties, things like that. It's very rewarding experiences.
So whenever you have like your bowling alley, do you sort of like watch any of the maybe younger kids start bowling, and does that kind of bring you back to like when you started bowling? Do you think any of them have that sort of drive that you had?
We have at both Liberty Lanes and at Victory Lanes, we have a lot of talented youth bowlers, and it's a lot of fun to watch, and it does bring back memories of when I was that age. I think some of them can go a long way. in the bowling industry. Some of them maybe through bowling, pardon me. Others may end up managing bowling centers. I had a tournament at Victory Lanes the other day. I had two bowlers, two young students come up to me and said, "Where do I go to learn how to manage a bowling center?" So that was very interesting, and I really wanted to hear that, because the sport needs young people getting involved and who love the sport. And I just, that kind of just wanted to say that while it was very interesting and rewarding to hear two students say that, I just kind of like to send a message to the students today that if you have something that you really love, that you want to do, you can achieve that. You just have to focus your attention and focus everything that you have at accomplishing that goal. In other words, my goal when I was a youngster was wanted to be a successful professional bowler. And whether you want to be in media, whether you want to be a salesperson, whatever it is that you want to be, you can be the best at that if you work hard enough. Just one example for me is I got an opportunity to bowl. I won a tournament where I got 3 free games a day for a year. I ended up bowling 1,000 consecutive days that I practiced. I'd go in the bowling center every day, every holiday. I'd go in the bowling center and I'd bowl my 3 games. And that's the kind of desire and dedication it takes to be successful. But you can achieve it if you choose to.
Just find something that you love and go for it. Yeah.
That's exactly right.
Well, thank you so much for being with us, George. After commercial breaks, we'll be back with Miss Statesville. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Okay, great.
Dude, what are you looking at?
More than half of people who die in car wrecks aren't wearing their seatbelt. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Welcome back to Cat's Couch. Today I have Grace Dirig. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah, it's like a deer and a pig, but you drop the P and add the egg.
There we go. So what exactly is your background?
So I graduated from Pine Lake Preparatory. I'm a freshman at the University of South Carolina, and I got involved in pageants actually on a whim. Someone came up to me and said, "Hey, you should try this," and I tried it, and I'm someone that plays in the mud. I like to go outside, and so a pageant was really out of my comfort zone. When they called me as the winner from Miss Statesville Outstanding Teen, I kind of froze and freaked out, and I thought I was just going to represent Statesville. And then I went and competed for Miss North Carolina's Outstanding Teen and placed in the top 15, and now I'm back as Miss Statesville, and it's absolutely fabulous.
That's awesome, considering that it was started on a whim, that it's kind of cool just to have won it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was the coolest part, is I tried something out of my comfort zone, and now I'm attached to it and I love it.
So what exactly is the process like of being in pageants and stuff like that? Like, how would you register and how do you compete and things like that?
So it's a lot different than what everyone thinks it is. A lot of people think, oh, you just look pretty, you're not very smart. But Miss America is all based on scholarship, and I think that's the coolest part about it, is that when you register, you grow within yourself, and you grow into this amazing person because of this organization. And when you win the title of Miss Statesville, or any title in North Carolina, or any title under Miss America organization, you're provided scholarship money to go to school. So that's definitely the biggest aspect of why I joined, because college is not cheap. So when you can get any money from any kind of scholarship, and if it's something you love, go for it.
So does it really cost anything to go into a pageant, or is it like free for anyone to sort of enter?
So Miss Statesville, you have to raise $100 for Children's Miracle Network. And yeah, that's our partnership as Miss America, as a part of the Miss America organization. We raise money for Children's Miracle Network. And so if you raise $100, you can compete for Miss Statesville. So it's awesome. I mean, it's a great experience to stand on that stage and see yourself grow. And I recommend it to any young girl that's looking for scholarship money.
Now, am I right in saying this year is specifically a special year for pageants, or at least a specific one? Or
yeah, it's a really special year for Miss Statesville. It's our 20th Miss Statesville. So in August, we're going to be crowning our 20th queen. And what's really cool is Miss America is going to be there.
Really?
Yes. Miss America herself is going to be at the 20th crowning of Miss Statesville.
That sounds really cool.
Yeah, it is amazing. The support we've received, it's going to be fabulous.
So does every contestant, going back to scholarships, does every contestant get a scholarship, or is it specifically placed depending on how much you get or anything like that?
Yeah, so every Miss Statesville contestant that competes earns $150 just for competing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I mean, if you step out of your comfort zone and compete, you can have your books paid for college.
Yeah, definitely.
And books are expensive.
Yeah, I've definitely tried like looking at like cost of college, and I've been trying to figure it out. So
It's really expensive.
So is it hard being a part of the Miss Statesville, sort of like being crowned that? Is there any negativity towards it, or has it all been sort of positive?
You know, it's such a positive experience, but there's also hardships that come along with it. People are always going to try to bring you down and break your spirit, but it's all about how you rise above it. So you have the choice to let them destroy your spirit, or you can rise above it and show them your real character and who you truly are.
So with those people trying to bring you down, would those be the people who sort of have like stereotypes about pageant shows? Like, do you want to disprove any of those stereotypes that you may know?
100%. That's why I step out every day as Miss Statesville. I put on this sash and this crown. This sash and crown are a microphone. They're not something that's beautiful. They are beautiful. But when I put this on, it's like anyone putting a hard hat and a jacket on to go to work. I'm out here breaking stereotypes every day, trying to show people that we're not just beauty queens. We are workers. We are smart. We are trying to break all the stereotypes of toddlers and tiaras, because we aren't that.
Well, thank you so much. After this commercial break, Grace will still be with us talking about her college experience. Awesome. Sweet.
Hey, you dropped your wallet.
Oh, thank you.
Are you okay?
Yeah, thank you so much.
World mama, people living like they ain't got no mama. I think the whole
Thank you so much. No problem.
Kindness, pass it on.
Welcome back to Cat's Couch. I'm still here with Grace, and so we kind of wanted to talk about your college experience. So what is college like for you, especially with the whole pageant
Oh
going on?
gosh, college is interesting. You finally get to break down all those walls that you've been held inside of high school, of your parents' standards, and you finally get to stand on your own 2 feet. So I mean, that's really cool, and you really get to discover yourself in college and find your niche and find your home. And I think that's definitely been the coolest part for me, especially being Miss Statesville while in college. I'm able to find my niche within the school, but I'm also able to find my niche within Miss Statesville.
Right. You find all these sort of interests, and you find the people that you
Yeah.
like, share the same interests with.
Exactly, and there's so many people at college. I mean, you're gonna meet so many people, and I mean, you're gonna meet people that are kind of like, you never thought that you'd be friends with them, and then next thing you know, you're the best of friends.
So would you say college is, in that aspect, is a lot different from high school? Like college would be better off like finding yourself?
Yes, high school, you see the same faces. I went to a very small high school. Pine Lake is very small. I graduated with 160, 70 kids in my class. So we all knew each other. So it's really great walking around campus and seeing a different face every single day. I mean, there's so many people that you see on campus, and your lives will cross, but you'll never talk to them.
Right.
So I mean, it's really cool.
Do you have any advice for people trying to find the right college, like what sort of they should go about in their heads, what they should find in a college?
Absolutely. Follow your heart. That is my biggest piece of advice, because when I stepped on foot at the University of South Carolina, my heart exploded. I was so happy to be there. It was the best place, and I think that's hard for people, especially if it's an out-of-state school that you fall in love with. You have to follow your heart, because that's where you're going to put in 110% effort. That's where you're going to give it your all, and that's where you're going to really expand as a person and really discover all of your potential. So just follow your heart, and whatever it's telling you to do, follow it, because it won't lead you to the wrong spot.
Yeah, I tried sort of applying for a lot of different colleges, but I knew once I picked one that like this was the right one.
Yeah.
So like I was really hoping I would get accepted, and I did. So
Awesome.
it was really fun.
That is exciting. Yeah, I applied to one college. I don't recommend that. Don't do it. I put all my eggs in one basket because I was like, I'm just going to the University of South Carolina. That was the only place I wanted to go, and luckily I was accepted. So it's been awesome, but every person I talk to, I'm like, don't do it. You'll regret it.
So was there sort of like a struggle between the transition from college to high school, or was it just sort of easy for you?
You know, there's this little bit of struggle when your parents leave you and you're all alone with you and your roommate in that dorm room, and it's kind of like you have no parent to cook you breakfast when you wake up in the morning. Your parents aren't there to make sure your homework is done. You're really on your own for the first time, and it's like taking those first like big kid steps. And that's definitely the biggest change, is when you're sick for the first time and mom's not there to give you medicine or to cook you soup. That's definitely the biggest struggle, is separating from your parents, but it's also amazing at the same time because you're able to become your own person, and that's the best part.
Yeah, just like being independent and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's like, So do you have any advice for girls dealing with college or with stereotypes or anything like that? Would you like to say anything about that?
Absolutely. You're not defined by stereotypes. You're not defined by what people say about you. You're not defined by what people think about you, because you're your own strong person, and people are always going to have an opinion of you. And that's always something that I've struggled with, because I'm a people pleaser. I like to make everybody happy. And you have to remember to put yourself first sometimes, and to take care of yourself. And that if someone has an opinion about you, it's just their opinion. It does not define you, and it doesn't mean that you're that way or that person that they say you are.
And again, I think college with that whole independency thing would help with that, because you are finding yourself, and you start to sort of be more comfortable with yourself rather than listen to other people, I think.
Oh yeah, that's probably the best part about college, is you're on your own. You don't have to listen to anybody else, and they basically let you go. I mean, your professors are there to teach you, and then you probably never see them or talk to them unless you go to their office hours, which I highly recommend. Go to the office hours. It might boost your grade up a little bit.
So with going to their hours, would it like, do you get like extra credit, or like is it just helping you with sort of understanding the sort of subjects?
Yeah, sometimes they'll give you extra credit if you go into their office, like within the first weeks, and you read the syllabus, and sometimes in like very fine print, it'll say, if you come to my office during my office hours, I'll give you a piece of candy, or like, I'll give you 5 extra credit points. So it's really beneficial to read those syllabus, go to those office hours, make that connection with your professors, because they're the person that controls your grade along with yourself. So if you make that connection, they're going to explain a topic to you that you don't understand.
Well, thank you so much for being with us. Today on Cat's Couch, we had George Pappas talk about victory lanes and all his other alleys, as well as how bowling has impacted his life and how you should just go for something that you love. And Grace has talked to us about being Miss Statesville, disproving some stereotypes about pageants, and also the wonderful life of college. Thank you so much for watching. This has been Cat's Couch.